Okay, ready?
Yep.
Do you want to start it?
Sure.
What are we even doing this weekend?
I don't know.
Get comfortable for a second.
Yeah, do that. Get comfortable.
Get comfortable. Hopefully you can't hear all the crickets.
The owner should not be doing everything.
Cannot.
Cannot, should not.
Welcome to the 4th annual
Hello everyone, and welcome to Fireside Chat with the Johnstons. I'm Justin.
And I'm Danielle. Welcome. We are excited to have you guys here. We have a good topic today.
Yes, very, very good.
What is it today? More spelunking?
But first, we always start with good news.
Yeah, so my good news is the weather's actually cooled off a lot right here in Warrensburg. So it's been it's almost like fall weather, and yet usually August is really hot. So it feels really, really good. I'm actually looking for pumpkins now because my mom's coming in town. So I guess my good news is actually my mom's coming in town to make pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin bread.
Oh, pumpkin bread.
She has a list of requests.
But anyways, yeah, her pumpkin pie is really good. Her pumpkin bread is to die for. So
before she moved, she used to work at the gym. And yesterday we told our full-time staff that she was going to be coming into town. And I'm pretty sure the first words were, "Oh, thank God, pumpkin bread." So, yeah. Okay, my good news is my birthday is Monday, and Justin has some fun stuff planned.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So we'll be doing some good, yeah. I might, yes, I do, yes.
He has some fun stuff planned for my birthday. I just know it. I know he would not let me turn 40 without some sort of big celebration.
Yep, on it.
I'm certain. All right,
Today's
guys.
episode is brought to you by Coca-Cola.
And then the better one, Pepsi.
Disgusting. Okay, so yeah. So if you and your spouse are opposites in many ways, like unlike us at all.
We're never opposite.
Yeah, you would totally understand.
Actually, personality-wise, we're kind of similar. It's a problem sometimes because I think we're both type A control freaks.
Yes. Oh, man.
Did you hear that segue?
Yes. So you want to introduce what the topic is today?
Yes. Today we are going to be talking about control freaks. Are you a control freak in your gym as the owner? Maybe you're a director or a coach and you're listening to this. And even as a coach, maybe you're a control freak on your team. Like it's hard for you to miss a week to go on vacation or because you're sick because you're kind of a control freak about how your practices are run. Or as a director, you're a control freak about how emails are going out to parents or competition schedules are being run. As an owner, let's be honest, we're all just control freaks about everything.
You make control freak sound bad, but you could just change the words. It doesn't have to be control freak. It could be just, I'm just very passionate about my business.
Empowered gym owner.
Yeah. Or the other part is, are you an empowered gym owner? So are you a control freak or just an empowered gym owner? So
I'm an empowered gym owner. Justin's a control freak.
Very subjective here. It's very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
so let's go ahead and get into it because this is a great topic, guys, and we want to make sure what we're going to do, we're going to hit both sides of the coin, right?
Yep.
We're going to talk about the good aspects and the not so great aspects of needing that control in your business.
And then at the end of each little area that we talk about, we'll give our opinion on, a balance, because it's always about a balance in this. Life is a balance.
Yeah.
What?
I think there is a balance for sure. I think sometimes that balance can sway in one direction or another. Like with finances.
Oh, yeah.
You probably are going to want to be more controlled.
Oh, that's control freak.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. First off, we're going to talk about attention to detail. When it comes to this, do you believe that you need to be in control of the details and the day-to-day, the way things are running in your business?
That one's a yes and no. Again, these are very subjective in a way, but at the same time, if you lean too far on one side, you're going to drive people crazy and also wear yourself out. But if you go too far the other way, then you really don't have a lot of control. So,
yeah.
So anyways.
So I'll say
So we're going
this.
to talk to each one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think when you're first opening your gym and you are your only employee and janitor and front desk person and coach, you might be the single person in your gym who's doing everything. Yeah, you're going to be a control freak because you are the only person to control.
You are the one-man band.
Yep.
You play all instruments, yes.
And so attention to detail should be pretty high at that point. That said, don't you think sometimes attention to very minor details, they feel huge to us, but in perspective, they're minor, and it can slow down what you're accomplishing?
Oh, absolutely. So quality is going to be way high.
Mm-hmm.
However, productivity over time is going to go down. It's going to slow down productivity because you are a one-man band. You can only play so many instruments, except for that one guy at Disney World that walks around and he's got like strings on his feet. You know, I'm talking
really
literally,
good.
yeah, the drum on his back, and he's like blowing the harmonica, and he's like,
You mean literally the one-man band?
he is a one-man band. So yeah.
That's right. So things that we're talking about here when it comes to attention to detail, are your warm-ups the same every single time? Or would you allow, if another coach came in and wanted to warm your team up a different way, would you allow them to do it a little bit differently? When somebody comes into your gym and they want a gym tour, does it have to be down to the word that you've got it scripted out? And so you're the only person who can do it because you're the only one that can memorize how that is going to sound and the words and verbiage you're using? Or is it something that you would allow other people to do? And if they kind of do it a little bit differently here and there, but kind of they have the same general system, is that okay?
Yeah, those are tough. Those tough questions because sometimes you want it scripted out exactly. Like when somebody answers the phone at your gym, that ought to be scripted out. You ought to have somebody answering, hello, welcome, thank you for calling Twister Sports. How can I help you? You know, something like just very simple, but very scripted out every single time. It ought to be the same. But maybe a gym tour could, instead of starting at one end and going this way, could they deviate and say, oh, it's busy over here right now. Let's go this way. And we're going to go a different direction and maybe change up the routine on how that, you know, there's that one I could see going in a different direction. So
yeah.
anyways.
So there's probably an element of like the balance is somewhere between highly systemized and authenticity.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If I have somebody who's walking around talking and they're giving a tour of the gym, but it doesn't sound anything like their personality, their tone of voice, their language that they would use, that could actually be hard because as a potential customer, I'm thinking, wow, I appreciate how, you know, systemized maybe that this is, but it doesn't sound authentic. It feels kind of fake.
So I guess on that one, if you just had it structured in a way that, hey, I want you to show somebody these 5 areas of the gym and just tell them about it.
And these are kind of some talking points.
Yeah, some talking points to it. But otherwise, you know, kind of make it your own and show it to them. I think that would be still detailed, but not quite scripted, completely scripted. So,
do you know who does a really good example of this? Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
So they have the system and the process. Everybody says my pleasure. That is one scripted thing.
That is their pleasure. Yes.
It is their pleasure to do whatever you need them to do.
Yeah.
So it's scripted, but they're not scripting every single thing someone says. They're not scripting, hi, how are you today? Welcome to Chick-fil-A. What can I get for you?
Yeah, it's not like, hello, my name is Bill. Welcome to Chick-fil-A. You know, it's not like that. Every time we've been to Chick-fil-A, we've gotten great service, but at the same time, the personality is different. Like one guy was like, hey, what's up, guys? How can I help you? Like totally rad. You know, it was kind of, I felt like I was in California, but I wasn't.
It's Kansas City.
Yeah, it was Kansas City, but the dude was like, totally, what's up, man? How's everything going? What do you guys like? You know, it was cool.
Friendly.
But friendly.
Yeah.
And positive. And it was fun. But
yeah.
And then the next time, totally not like that, but just a different person, different personality, but still friendly, positive. They were hitting key factors that I thought was good and knowledgeable too. Like they knew like, hey, what's on this burger, man? And then they were like, oh, that's not how I talk, but dude,
also they don't
say dude a lot, but
they don't sell burgers.
Yeah.
Eat more chicken.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying. But anyways, they knew everything that was on the sandwich the Chick-fil-A sandwich. So
Yeah.
anyways, it was
So maybe consider that. Here's
Yeah.
kind of like the next gen takeaway part for when we're talking about attention to detail. Think about that. What areas of your gym need to be perfectly systemized down to, the detail, and what areas of your gym can you allow your staff to be creative, to demonstrate their own authentic personalities in spotting a tuck? No, I'm probably not going to let you demonstrate your personality because it can be a safety concern. It can, somebody's level of skill, their reaction timing it can create an unsafe environment. And so determine what parts of your gym do you need to be very in control of how those things are happening, and what areas can you step back and maybe see the big picture and trust your staff in.
Oh, absolutely. So another one that she did kind of talk about was finances. That's not an area that you're like, hey, I'm going to let you run with this, do a good job. I appreciate it. I know you have a background in it, so I just trust you, because that doesn't work out the best. So when you know your finances, you know how you want to see budgets and how much people get to spend and all those. You got to have attention to detail in that. And that one's a little bit more scripted. So yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about consistency.
That's number 2 for us today. Okay. Consistency.
So when it comes to being in control of things, this is an area that can, I would say the first 10 years of our business, it was a little bit tough for me because the owner is the only guaranteed person in the gym, right? Staff can quit. Staff can leave. They can be sick. They can be a little bit sick and call in sick to work. But the owner, come hell or high water, that owner is going to be there.
Oh, yeah. Well, somebody's got to pay that bill.
Right.
That lease, that loan. Somebody's got to pay that, and it's you.
Yeah. and if you're a coach or a manager watching this too, remember, like, your owner put everything they have into this. Their house can get taken.
Yep.
They could get sued. They could lose their full-time job at work if they have a separate job. They could literally lose everything over this. And so if there are times that they're struggling to give you control of things, remember, they have this massive risk that they've taken.
Right.
And so I think if we're saying this side of the coin, yeah, when it comes to like things being consistent in the gym, I know that we as owners are the consistent ones.
Absolutely.
Put yourself in my shoe.
But because we're the consistent ones, sometimes we're the ones that are called when something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, you kind of, if you're doing all the jobs in the gym, especially at the beginning of owning a gym, you get to be really knowledgeable in all the areas. So when people have a problem, they naturally pull towards you, and they're like, hey, Justin. And all you do after a while is get pulled. And so whatever you're doing is very inconsistent at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you feel like that's not the case, I'm here to tell you, the plumbing has backed up. Who gets called?
Yep.
Still Justin. 7 a.m. in our before school program, and a kid is in there throwing chairs, losing his mind. Who's getting called? Probably Justin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Angie for sure, but also probably Justin, because you can get there and kind of put control on the situation.
Yep.
We had a parent in the gym who was not supposed to be picking up the child. They were not allowed to pick up the child.
And they said, nope, I'm picking up, this is my child, I will be picking them up. But court order said, no, they're not. So, so you're running into legal issues at that point. Yeah.
I'll even say last year, maybe the year before, I was on a call with a next gen client, and it was the only time in 6 years that I have been interrupted because of an emergency at the gym. And it was the state. They were coming to say, like, hey, there's an issue with your license. We need to talk to somebody right now. Luckily, it turned out to be fine, but they needed the person who was the director. And my gosh, what would they have done if we were out of the country?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are times, whether it's an upset customer at the front desk who your staff can't get under control, or a kid who's losing their mind out on the floor, there are going to be times that you as the owner are going to get pulled away. So the idea that you are the most consistent person is kind of an illusion.
Yes, because over time, you're going to become more and more inconsistent. So you're out on the floor teaching a tumbling class because you're the most consistent person there, and somebody else called in sick. So who's the backup? You. So you're out there doing that, and then somebody's at the front desk and saying, I want answers right now. And somebody's like, get Danielle. We need her right now. And you just go pull her off the floor. And they're like, hey, you guys just why don't we exercise? Just do some push-ups and stuff. I don't know, something. And,
junior coach, get over here.
Junior coach, run out there and do something with them. And then you're up there taking care of angry parent at the front desk. So it becomes chaotic after a while. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you know, maybe you're like, oh, I'm so past this in my business. My front desk can handle things. Absolutely. Until the police walk in the door and they're like, hey, we've got an issue. Somebody broke into a car. We need to speak with the owner. We need to see the cameras. Like, even when you think things are 100% under control, I'm using like real life examples here too.
I know. These aren't like making stuff up. This is like, okay, then this happened and then this happened.
Yeah. So like, no matter how long you've been in business, could my manager go pull the cameras? Yes, but there are some policies we have in place to protect our people, to protect our intellectual property. And so there are always going to be things that you could be in business 30 years and the owner is going to be needed for. The problem with that is that when you are the owner and you're pulled to put out fires from time to time, those other things that you're supposed to be consistently doing fall by the wayside. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe you're supposed to be marketing. You're supposed to be, sending out the email marketing. You're supposed to be doing your financial transfers and reconciling your books and communicating with the accountant and submitting payroll and all this stuff. But because you're the one doing it and you're also the one that's called to put out the fires, don't you in some ways become the least consistent person in your gym?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. You just never know. Even personally, like on a personal note, you could be at the gym and get a call and it's your daughter who just ripped the front bumper off of her car pulling out of a parking spot because she parked over the parking spot and caught it and ripped the bumper off and she's crying and upset and can't.
What a strange hypothetical situation that didn't happen yesterday.
Totally hypothetical. But that just happened yesterday. And so I had to, and she had to be back. She couldn't stay where she was at. And
45 minutes away.
So 45 minutes away. So who has to drop everything and go take the owner, which I own that girl. So I own that girl and she knows who's going to help her. So it's me. Yeah. So I had to jump up there and, grab her bumper and try to get her back home. So, but life has a way of throwing little wrenches, and especially owning a business. You can be in business 30 years and you're going to see new things constantly. There's got to be new things that pop up on you because people are getting older. Kids are growing and getting older. There's new circumstances.
Technology is changing.
Your kids are getting older and they're driving now. So new problems arise. Curbs get in the way. It's amazing.
Happens to me too. Also, like if you've done this for a long time, the staff that we employed 10, 15 years ago is not the same kind of staff we employ today. Yeah. Right? Generations change, your staff changes, the culture in your gym changes. Even if your culture changes for the better, your new, younger staff need different things than the older staff needs. So you're always going to be there to have to put out fires in one way or another. The problem is when we're there to put out fires, we're missing details. Yep. So even if there are things, and here's your next gen takeaway from this one, even if there are things that you love doing the marketing yourself, you love doing, whatever job it is in the gym, you love coaching all of the teams.
All of them.
It's going to be hard because at one point you are going to find that you're sacrificing one thing for another. And often, you guys, we're sacrificing the business for the things that we love. But you can't keep doing the things that you love if you no longer have the business to provide those. Balance is the key to this, because you can only sacrifice from certain things for so long before those things are not there anymore. Right. So if you're sacrificing your family for the business, it's only going to go for so long before that becomes an issue. And there's so many people out there that have done that, and it's not good. There are better ways to do it, and so that's why we're teaching these and talking about these things, because you don't have to sacrifice so many things. And when she's talking about you do have to sacrifice things because you can't continue to take, and I'm going to do everything without having to finally start sacrificing details on other things. So
instead of doing 100% on things, you're now doing 75% on things, 50% on things.
Right.
And is that quality going to be there when you're trying to be so consistent in everything? It's your quality is going to drop.
I was actually listening to a book yesterday because I drive 7 hours a day these days, driving kids back and forth to school. So when they're not in the car, I told Justin, I'm like, I have to get a book or something because I feel like I'm wasting my time with the back and forth so much. Not when they're in the car. That's good conversation. But when it's just me, so what is the thing you've been doing lately? So anyway,
I saw some little video of a guy that walks around and he walks around like this and he goes, he's like in the gym and he sees a big guy and he's like,
now Justin's been doing it all the time.
I just walk around.
Anyway, so I was listening to this book in the car and it was actually saying like the divorce rate among entrepreneurs is significantly higher than it is around the average person.
Okay, I can see it. Like that,
we never fight. I don't know why.
Yeah,
you never annoy me.
We have the perfect marriage.
Anyway, so the reason, guys, that you cannot be a complete control freak, empowered owner, sure, when it comes to consistency, I want consistency in my gym, but I cannot be the reason that things are consistent. So many years ago, somebody said, Danielle, be in charge of the top 5% of things in your business that nobody else can do.
Wait a second. That's like for school, like, hey, pay attention, this is on the test. Okay,
that's class. I wouldn't do that too high.
Top 5%. Okay.
Top 5%. So what are the things, and we're going to talk about this in a future episode. We're going to go over them more specifically. Yes. But what are the things, you guys, that you are the only person as the owner can do? Yeah. And if you're a coach and you're listening to this, what are the things that the owner should not be doing that you as the coach are the things that you could be doing?
Absolutely.
And same as a director or a manager, right? Because the owner cannot do everything if you want consistency and if you don't want to be micromanaged. Kind of goes both ways.
And I'll say, I'll push it a little further. It's the owner should not be doing everything.
Cannot,
should not.
Yep.
This is like Dr. Seuss. Shall not, will not.
Right. Could not, should not.
Yes.
And realistically, who wants to work for an owner that wants to do it all themselves?
Yeah.
You can talk to Jackie, who she works for NextGen these days. If I had asked Jackie to come work for me in another business 12 years ago, she would have laughed and said, I don't even want to work for you in this business, because that's the kind of owner I was. I would put somebody as a front desk employee and then I would stand behind them. And I, of course, was watching and I might be coaching over here, talking to parents, but I was listening the whole time. And when they did something wrong, I would step in and fix it and do it for them.
Yep.
And it took everything in me to have to step away from front desk and say, I've got to write the systems, train the people on the systems, hold them accountable for the systems, and then walk away.
And then go teach a class.
Or do something,
and give 100% to the class, but at the same time, knowing that somebody's up there running that front desk now and they've got the systems, they're trained, and you just got to be okay with them making some mistakes.
And if you're like me, where you struggle because you really do want to do things perfectly, get over it. Yeah. Like, I'm speaking to myself right now. I will literally look in the camera and say this to myself. Danielle, get over it, because not everything's going to be perfect all the time.
So, what's interesting though, that what we found out is when you're doing 80 different things, you're really not good at all of them. Mm-hmm. So you're just okay. However, if you do start delegating, systemize this stuff, delegate it to somebody and say, hey, I want you to take full control of this. Like the front desk is going to be your baby. I want you to master it, be the all-knowing person up here. That person has a feeling of like ownership in the business over something, and they will actually do a better job than you ever did, because they can focus on just these 5 things that you gave them or whatever. And you're taking care of 80. Now you can take some of that off your plate. Now you're down to 75. You can do a little bit better job at things. And you start delegating off some of these things to people. Those people will take ownership over it and kill it. Like, it is amazing like how well our front desk runs now. As a matter of fact, when Danielle goes up to the front desk to help out now, they actually tell her to get out of the way. Get out of the way. Like, she'll go up there and one of them will walk off and help somebody like find something, like, oh, I think your class is over here or something like that. And then she'll come, and somebody will come up the desk and Danielle's like, hey, how can I help you? And Alexi will come back and go, Danielle, can you just...
She doesn't do that in front of... She will literally be like, I I can take care of this for you,
yeah,
Danielle.
Yeah. Do you want me to take care of it? But I mean, inside it's like, you can tell. She's like, Danielle, you need to get out of the way.
Just get out.
Just get out. Screw this up.
And like, if you guys aren't at that stage yet, you're like 2 or 3 years in, you're like, I can't imagine that anybody would be better than me. Same. Even today, like, it's hard to think that in my own business, the systems I created and the procedures that we built, somebody else does it better than I do.
Yep.
So that segues us perfectly into efficiency. It was probably 2 years ago now. We were at an open house. It was our own open house for the gym. And if you guys have never looked at open house, I did a reel recently on like how beneficial they are and why you should be doing them. We enroll 25 kids pretty easily at an open house in one day. Well, open houses in the past have been Danielle helping at the front desk. Well, a couple years ago, Lexi's in charge of open house. She said, Danielle, you're going to greet people and you're going to kind of do the intake. And Justin, you're going to do the tours. Guys, I'm here to tell you this year, we're out of town for 3 days. And that is when they decided to do the open house. Mm-hmm. Why? Because is Danielle the most efficient greeter at the front? No, I talk to people for 10 minutes. Yep. Is Justin the best person, the most efficient at giving tours? No, they don't need to know what that 2x4 is for.
Yeah, I go through it like, so when we first opened this gym, it had low hanging ceilings and I had to take them all out. So now you got open ceilings and people are like, I don't know. It's just, I go too in depth. I almost need to slim down my.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Like I give like a 30-minute, when they get done, they have the full history of how the building, what the building was started as.
Like an hour later, they're like, well, I know that it used to be a roller rink and then a church and then now Twisters owned it and you used to not have those walls.
And they're like this.
But I was really curious what level my daughter will be.
Hey, but you know what? They're going to know that Randy Travis once played there back in the day.
And in the meantime, Justin's like, oh, what level? I don't know. Let's take her for an assessment. That's the next step of this tour.
Assessment right here.
So realistically, the owner is capable of doing all of the things in the gym. I am capable of booking a birthday party. Mm-hmm. Am I the most efficient at it? No. In fact, the longer you guys go with a capable staff who is taking charge and they are held accountable, and so, they know that they need to follow systems, the longer you go without doing something, the less efficient you will be. I am terrible at booking birthday parties because I literally have to pull out the system and I have to go step by step in the system to make sure I don't miss anything because it's been so long since I regularly booked a birthday party.
Not only that, but over time, you're going to have the people that are specialized in those areas are going to take control of those and make their own systems. Like basically take the original system that the owner probably created, but you're going to notice that there's been some changes and we had to modify it a little bit. Owner's not going to necessarily know about those. So
if you have a middle layer of management, yes. So like, if Lexi were to go change a system about birthday parties, she's in charge of birthday parties. Yep. She would adjust that system. She would pass it to Melanie, who's our general manager. Melanie would look at that. And unless it affected finances, safety, anything legal, or like the well-being of staff, Melanie is going to approve that change within the system, or she's going to go back and say, Lexi, I think it needs to be changed based on this. If it has to do with those things that could put the business at risk or people at safety risk in any way, then it will pass through the owner. Yep. If you don't have, and most gyms don't have that middle layer of management yet, you as the owner may be approving those systems, but empower your staff to suggest them. Empower them to, hey, make a copy of that system. Here's the document, make the changes and bring it to me so that we can talk about, I can approve the changes.
And you definitely want that because your frontline people, which is your staff, are the ones that are going to be seeing the issues that you may not necessarily see. And so empowering them to bring those to you and say, hey, I want to fix issues. So if you run into issues with our products and our services and people, using our products and services, then bring it to me. So
absolutely.
Once again, empowering your staff.
Yeah.
Because how cool is that to know that your boss actually cares?
Yeah.
Because how many bosses don't care and people notice. So,
Your job, you guys, as the owner is that you are there to troubleshoot problems that your staff needs help with. You're there to support your staff and you're there to create new things. And you can't do those when you're bogged down with day-to-day tasks. If I'm at the gym and I'm answering the phones and my gosh, the phones ring, right? If that's my job and I'm there and I'm stopping what I'm doing every time to answer the phone, one, I'm not going to get a whole lot done. So I'm not going to be very efficient. Number two, though, I am going to lose a lot of that brain power on simple things that my staff could be doing. And when you are bogged down, you're not creative. What was I telling you when I was writing my book? The Cheer Gym Owner's Handbook, available on Amazon and Audible. When I was writing the book, though, I was like, Justin, I don't have ideas for anything. Like, my brain is using 95% of its capacity to work on this book right now. And the remaining 5%, I don't feel creative anymore.
Yep.
And so when I got done with it, I was like, I'm taking a year and I'm just going to kind of relax. And it's just now, 8 months later, that I'm starting to feel like, oh man, I'm eager to write again because I have this creativity back.
Yep.
And don't you feel like that's the case? You're very creative, actually.
Yeah.
But do you feel like that's the case when you're bogged down with like these small day-to-day tasks that you're doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, especially certain times of the year, we have big events and different things like that. And so I get wrapped up in them and I lose all, like, my focuses, my, kind of your dreams, your aspirations for the year. You get caught up in it, in that stuff, and you push it all to the side, and you lose focus on a lot of it. So, but as far as the creativity part, yeah, absolutely, you lose that creativity, and you as an owner definitely cannot lose that. That you are the number one when it comes to creativity in the gym and
vision.
Yeah, the vision, and making sure that your staff are focused on that vision and keeping it creative, because complacency is death to a gym.
Yeah.
If your gym is not continually improving and continually adapting to the new environment and new people that are coming in, it will die over time. I mean, it's consistent throughout history that's how big corporations to small, family-owned places, that's how they die. They lose passion and they lose that sense of creativity in them. So,
and you might be watching this or listening to this on the podcast and thinking, like, I must be a really crappy owner because I'm not creative at all. But creativity comes in a lot of different forms.
True.
You can be a creative problem solver. You can be a creative visionary where you have these wild ideas that you're trying to convince people of all the time. You can be creative because you are listening to other things and saying, oh, that would work for me. Like, that's creative solutions to your problems. Or maybe you're not creative and you know that, and so you're compensating, and maybe you have somebody on staff or you have a business coach who is extremely creative and you can rely on them for that. That's still a creative solution to your own problem of not being creative.
Oh, I got to tell you about my latest idea. So this is what Danielle says. I have creative ideas. I was looking at renting this is total side note, but it's really cool. I was looking at renting a limo recently, but for a limo in our area to get it down from Kansas City is like 45 minutes. And so they're going to charge you that. I mean, it was like $800 to rent a limo for like 4 hours. And so I was like, man, that's tough. So then I started looking, and as I was looking to rent limos and stuff, I started seeing used ones popping up. Guys, you can get a used limo for pretty cheap. So Justin is going to get a used limo himself and use that. So it's going to be my personal vehicle.
It's not going to be for the business, though I think our kids camp kids would really love to ride to school in a limo. And if I'm being honest, our after school program is going to blow up if we could do that.
So we're checking out all the legal parts on that. But as a personal vehicle, it's going to be a pretty cool little car to drive around town, which there is no limos in town. So it's going to be pretty neat. But anyways, side note, that's the kind of ideas, creativity. See, be creative.
Our kids are creative too. They seem to think that they're going to get a ride to high school in the limo in the mornings and that dad is going to come out and open the door for them.
Got my little hat on and my white gloves with a pillow and mints.
Our son's in the Army National Guard, and I've told Justin, he knows nothing about this limo yet. Yeah. I've told Justin I would love for him to go pick him up from like a guard shift, just pull up outside with a sign that says Johnston.
Yeah, I'll stand out there. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. Pick you up, sir.
Sergeant Johnston. Like those Army guys.
Yeah.
They'll never let him live it down. And that's the kind of parent.
Here's the door, sir. Here you go.
That's the kind of parent Justin is.
Have the little lights and the disco and the music playing in there.
I love that. So, guys, if you are overworked, if you're overstressed, if you feel disorganized, maybe you're doing too many things in your gym and you're not actually as efficient as you think you are.
Yes.
Are you still on the limo? Do you have more jokes?
I was thinking like pull up and have the window come down. Is there any Grey Poupon, sir?
Like Dumb and Dumber, where he actually climbs to the back, rolls the window down.
Can you tell me where the medical school is?
Oh my gosh. And if you don't know what Dumb and Dumber is, you're probably very young.
Anyways.
So if you're feeling disorganized, if you're feeling like a lack of focus, you're probably not all that efficient in your gym. You're probably an owner who's doing way too much. Yep. It's possible you're just naturally a disorganized person, but I'm going to tell you, if your desktop of your computer is a complete disaster with links and documents
everywhere,
if you have 50 tabs up at any given time,
if you're a Post-it note person and you have Post-it notes everywhere,
I know who you are.
Yeah.
Then you probably are doing too many things and you're not the most efficient. Right? If I've got 15 tabs up, and this has been me lately, I kind of noticed that like I need to refocus and close things out to get stuff done. But if you have 15 tabs up, are you realistically working on 15 different websites at once?
I see another episode of this talking about to-dos and how to organize that stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to come up with another one on this, but we have a follow-up to this one though.
Stay tuned.
Yes. We do have a good follow-up to this one. We're going to what is the next one? You want to talk about it right now?
Not yet, because we're only halfway through.
We're only halfway through this one.
Okay, so the next gen takeaway on this one, as we talk about efficiency, is that you have to teach your staff. A staff member who works at the front desk can have a single focus so they can be great at their job. Their front desk, customer service, administrative, they can have a single focus and they're gonna be great at it. A coach is gonna have a single focus. I'm out here to coach my mini team. Nothing else is distracting me. They're not pulling me away because a parent is irate at the front. None of that's gonna happen. And so you as the owner have gotta stop spreading yourself too thin and being a control freak. An empowered owner means that you are also empowering staff.
So just one little caveat to that. That doesn't mean you take this same employee and you're like, hey, here's your single focus. Oh, by the way, can you do this? By the way, now you're in charge of this. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? Because they're going to end up like you would be feeling. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm getting paid to do this, but now I have 15 jobs.
Right.
So almost having actually having a position agreement that this person gets paid to do this. And that way they can have full control over it and master it. Because that's exactly what you want them to do in your business. Because if they're mastering say social media and they're doing a really good job, what is that going to do for your business? It's going to blow it up. If somebody is mastering how your classes are running and they're the floater and they're making sure that all the classes are being well run and everything, and it's consistent, kind of like we talked about the second one, man, what is that going to do for your classes? It's going to blow them up. I mean, people are going to be happy. They're going to stay longer. And your marketing person's going to be bringing more people in. It all kind of starts flowing together.
Right.
Yeah.
So be careful about adding those little things onto them. Like, hey, my preschool program director is phenomenal at what she does, but guess what? She's super passionate about Pro Shop too. Maybe they've been with you a long time and you know them and they can take on something like that. But boy, does that take them out of their realm of what they're really excelling at and kind of start putting these strange things onto them.
Yep.
Right? That now their focus is going to shift and one program will become less effective because they're taking on more.
And so definitely don't want to make them less effective in those areas.
Right.
So,
That's why that org chart's so important.
Very important. Okay.
Okay, up next, we've talked about it a little bit, but let's talk about vision. We've talked a little bit about how the owner is a visionary, right? But it's hard because if you are the visionary, a lot of times you want to be the same person who is executing the entire plan. Justin, you tend to be the visionary for something like our trunk or treat. And if you guys think trunk or treat is little, we're talking like 5,000 people.
I don't know why, but for some reason I always push, I want to go big or go home. I always think like, let's go crazy a little bit. So they always have to like pull me back a little bit. So on Trunk or Treat, I tried to get as many people in town to come as possible. And so we ended up having like 5,000, 4,000. And last year was like 6,000. I don't know. It was a lot of people.
The rain hit it that second year.
Yeah, that second year.
But do you think as the visionary, it's realistic that you're also able to execute every single detail of the process?
I mean, have 5,000 people show up to your trunk or treat and think that you can run it all. There's no way.
Yeah.
You have to have parking people. I mean, it got huge. And then somebody controlling all the vendors that were out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in the planning process, like realistically, you cannot be a control freak when it comes to vision.
No.
Like we just talked about, you lose your creativity when you're bogged down with silly things. But additionally, there's no way that you can execute every single detail while maintaining that vision. Because even when I'm running something as big as our showcase, if I'm dealing with every single detail, my vision kind of veers off track.
And you literally can't.
Yeah.
Like in an event like that, like showcase or trunk or treat, you can't be in all places at all times.
Right.
A walkie-talkie could only help you so much, you know?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, hey, you got to quit talking while I'm talking. Hey, you know, it's just like,
yeah.
And then, yeah. So anyways, it just doesn't work.
If I'm micromanaging warm-ups or the people at the front or, you know, selling tickets or the MC, if I'm micromanaging any single area of that, I'm going to lose my vision because I'm the one that's kind of looking around saying, does everything make sense?
So one of the people in our gym is really, really good at events. So she's kind of in charge of the whole event. And I just do my 5%, kind of like Danielle talked about. My 5% is running the DJ booth. And so I play the music. I make announcements. You know, we have kind of a script on what's going on throughout the night and who's doing what. Food trucks over here. And, oh, by the way, somebody lost their keys. We have them up here at the DJ booth. Wah, 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 wah. You know,
why?
Just like that.
Why? Because nobody else can DJ.
No,
it's not a hireable position.
Not as good as DJ Justin. No way.
DJ Mr. Twister is what the kids call you.
Oh, that's true, Mr. Twister.
So takeaway on this one, make sure that you are hiring great people and you are allowing them to execute the details of something. You can certainly guide them. You can say, hey, I had this idea, or hey, I want to make sure we're not missing this and this. But if you are executing the details, you're going to veer off course from that vision.
And I have the voice for it too.
Welcome to the 4th annual.
I hope
Twisters haunted, you know.
Okay, I was hoping you were saying trunk or treat and not showcase.
Oh, no.
I
really want a little haunted walk or a haunted house. That's in the future. Danielle's like always,
I'm always like, bring it back in.
Yeah, bring it back in. But we're getting there. We're getting real close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So part of the reason that owners tend to be these control freaks is because of what we talked about at the beginning. They are the person ultimately responsible for risk.
Yep.
So they are saying the whole time, hey, risk management, I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to get sued. I don't want any of these terrible things to happen. I don't want my gym to get closed or my landlord to kick us out. Yep. And so they're control freaks because they're trying to manage risk.
Yep.
The good thing is, it's good to be in control of your own level of risk.
Oh, absolutely.
So I see the value there. But do you think that you miss opportunities because sometimes you're more fearful than you should be?
Well,
not you, but the rest of us.
For the average person, yes. Yeah, it's just fear. Fear kind of grips you because the bigger you get, the more opportunity for risk that there is. And you got a lot more people. When you got 5,000 people coming to an event, there's a lot of fear on people tripping, people getting hit, by something. Who knows?
Fireworks.
We had fireworks one year, a little scary, but you just never know what can happen. So you kind of do a risk assessment of the area and you talk to all of your staff. And so you try to minimize that risk as much as possible. That's why we have like AEDs in the gym, and you got to teach a certain amount of your staff on how to CPR, all that kind of stuff. Try to minimize as much as possible because...
Well, and think about, the owner is often coaching the highest level team. Is it because you love that and enjoy that and that's your passion? Or is it sometimes because we feel like I can't trust anybody else to teach skills like this? These are dangerous skills. And if I'm going to take that risk, I'm going to take it, nobody else.
It's on me. Yeah.
Right? That can be really hard because you're missing opportunities to do other things and to find other ways to grow your gym if you are being held back by risk. Also, the bigger you get, the more valuable your gym is, truly, like in assets and in the staple to the community, the more risk you're inherently going to take on.
Assume.
Yep, you're going to assume
to
where, your reputation can be damaged and it can hurt a lot more than right in the beginning.
Yep.
Your financial risk is going to be much higher. Your legal risk, because now you don't have 100 people coming in the gym every week, you have 2,000 people. So there's a bigger risk. Can we trust the staff with those risks?
Well, you put, in order to do that, you just put systems in place for the risk.
Right.
We still have a concept for how many people are with a kid at all times.
Right.
What do we call that?
Our 3-person concept, yeah.
So a 3-person concept with kids. So whether or not the gym is super busy or super empty. We always have that concept. And I mean, a staff member can be fired for just one-on-one with a kid.
Accidental.
Like, what does that do though? It puts us at risk.
Right.
Like, so we will not do that. So the risk management can be put in place. Can you put cameras in place? Yes. Can you,
Yeah, they're reactive, but yes.
They're but at the same time, we put those things in place to help out that risk. So,
yeah.
But informing the staff is number one, just being informed and having those risk averse, not being risk adverse, but being risk smart, I guess you would say.
Absolutely. Well, and also teaching your staff what kind of decisions are they qualified to make.
Yep.
Are they qualified to say, hey, I know I don't see the waiver on file, but I trust that you filled it out online and it's just not emailing to us for some reason? Sure, I'm going to let you go play. That would be a risk my staff would not be allowed to take.
Right.
Right. Versus something like, hey, I'm not sure why this isn't showing on our system, but I know that you're safe to go out and participate in this activity or event.
Which kind of runs into the next one, which is customer service or satisfaction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So customer satisfaction, as the owner, I'm going to be a control freak sometimes because I know that nobody will ever care as much as I do. At the end of the day, this is, my staff members, my coaches might have a bad practice, but they can go home and they can brush it off, right? This is just a portion of their day. It is all of my day because we're going to have parents that are emailing or messaging or calling, or we know those are conversations that are going to happen later on.
Absolutely.
Right? If they have a bad experience. On the flip side, if I'm the owner and I'm handling every single customer satisfaction issue, do you think that eventually I get emotionally involved?
Oh, no, never.
Never.
That never happens.
And these are the situations where somebody says, hey, Justin, I'm sorry that we're, late on our payment again, but, we had this and this and this come up. Can she still participate in practice? I know it's past the deadline.
Yeah.
As the owner, that's hard to say no.
Yeah.
Because
sometimes it's hard to say no.
But Justin has no heart.
Ow! But I mean, sometimes it's just like you've laid it out for them, you've told them, and you have to be cold on that stuff.
And I think it's easier for you to say because you don't coach a team.
That's true.
If that were one of my mini families coming to me and I'm coaching the minis this year, that would be really hard for me to say, sure, she can go ahead and participate in this competition, even though you're 3 months behind on payment. That's where you have to have staff that are delegated to take responsibility for areas, because if you are ultimately in charge as the owner of customer service and customer satisfaction, you're going to get too emotionally involved at one point, and it's going to be hard for you to make the tough decisions that need to be made. And
that may be some kind of a way to do that in your gym that takes the person that's coaching the kids out of the equation when it comes to that. Maybe it is somebody that's maybe third party to it. Like, they don't coach any of the teams, but they're in charge of the billing and making sure people are paid for because they don't have an emotional attachment to that family or the kid and being like, hey, we got to have the bills paid though. At the end of the day, we don't have a gym unless you're paying the bills. So, and I can't pay that coach that's coaching your girl if we don't get paid, those types of things. So,
and there are times, I coached 3 teams this year, and it's pretty clear among, Melanie and Lexi that like if it's a billing issue or something with someone on my team, I need them to handle it because I need to be able to stay in that compassionate role as a coach because I'm going to see what's happening with the kid, knowing that there's probably other stuff going on at home. So you've got to delegate those tasks over. Yeah,
and that may not be one of your strong suits because you are emotional. So having to deal with some of the
compassionate,
passionate, dealing with some of these emotional decisions and emotional people in your gym. Maybe there's somebody, at the beginning, Danielle and I were doing a lot of that, but Danielle got very emotional.
Compassionate is the word.
I say emotional in a bad way. It's not a bad thing. It's okay to be emotional, but I'll use compassionate, but it was very compassionate at the beginning and empathizing and all that kind of stuff. And she was not doing, honestly, was getting over compassionate, over emotional in some of these situations. So I started taking over at the beginning because, I don't know, just different people have different personalities. And mine was, I did highway patrol in the back many years ago, and people could cuss at me and everything. And I didn't care. Like, it just kind of washed. I was able to compartmentalize this person's emotional and having problems. I'm talking facts And you just need to lay out the facts. So you need to have a factual person to help out with sometimes with these emotional things. But over time, Danielle's gotten better at dealing with people and
high conflict, high stress,
high stress, high conflict times, and has gotten really good that I don't even do them anymore. Danielle just does them because she's I don't know, thick skin.
I've observed a lot too. Yeah. Observed and had a lot of self-recognition about how it's perceived, right?
Yeah.
You know.
And not everybody has a poker face. I'm just throwing it out there. Look at that, see? But not everybody has a poker face. So when somebody is literally standing there telling you how terrible your staff are and how terrible you are, how could you run something like this? All this type of stuff.
And I look like this.
And you're like, and I'm like, Danielle, poker face. I'm like, face. You know, because the whole time it makes the person worse.
Yeah, it makes me
And
more
the whole
angry.
time, you know, for me, I'm so used to it that I could sit there, yep, I got beat up when I was a kid, and that's why I'm taking it out on you right now, and I'm taking you to jail. Oh, and yeah, it's horrible.
If you guys,
I've heard it all before. Yep, totally gotcha. But at the end of the day, you got a warrant, you got to go to jail. In this case, you didn't pay your bill. We need you to pay your bill, or your daughter she can't cheer at the moment. So we just need to get that taken care of. Sometimes you can have your grandparent help. You come up with options and you kind of help them. But poker face and, you know. And
if you guys are thinking, oh my gosh, you have people who cuss at you. Not really anymore, but in those first couple of years, you're kind of weeding out people because you don't know your own culture yet and you don't know how to resolve it. And you're trying to give people chance after chance after chance. And you'll learn over time and gain a little bit of wisdom and recognize those traits early on to better identify who is your customer and who is not.
Yeah. Not everybody is going to fit in your gym.
Yes.
And it's hard to think that when everybody is joining because you want everybody to join your gym as much as possible. But there are just people out there that want to drive a Ford and not a Chevy, that want to drive a Toyota and not a Nissan. You know, it's just they're not going to be your customer, and that's okay,
right?
Because there's plenty of opportunity. Ideally, even in a small town, there's plenty of opportunity for you.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. So this week we talked about control freak or empowered owner. Which are you? Which should you be?
Yep.
Next week, we are going to talk about, as an owner, there's a lot of tasks that could be on your plate.
And are they owner tasks?
Yeah.
Or could they be another person in your gym?
I currently
owner
work
or employee.
I currently am the business coach to about 20 people in our Next Gen Academy. And I have a lot of high level people who sometimes are still doing some tasks that I think could be passed on. I also have done coaching for dozens of other owners at all levels in their business, and we've helped them take a lot of things off of their plates. And there's kind of a process that you have to use to do that. So next week we'll talk about, what should you be doing? And if you find that there are things that you shouldn't be, how do you get them off your plate?
So we're not pointing anybody out specifically, but sometimes like when you're at church and you have a sermon hit you and it's like, man, they're speaking right to me right now. Don't be looking at me. It should hit home because we own a gym. We've been running it for a long time and we've run into these issues. So if this speaks to you a little bit, feel free to reach out and send us texts or send us emails actually. And if you have questions and stuff, feel free to reach out. We're not like mysterious people that don't live anywhere and will never answer your questions.
Live anywhere. Does anybody not live anywhere?
You know what I mean? Like just random people that never, answer back. So I don't know.
Lastly, now that we are on YouTube and have a podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so that more people can start to learn if they're control freaks or not. In fact, you might forward this to somebody that you're like, hey, owner, you need to hear this.
Yeah. I saw this good. I don't know if you want to do that. I saw this really good podcast. I want you to listen to it. Control freak. No.
When it comes out, I'm going to forward it to Justin, actually. So.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
All right, you guys. So we will see you next week on Fireside Chat with the Johnstons.
Yes. Ciao.
Hey guys, make sure that you get registered for the Next Gen one-day business builder event in the Mile High City.
Where's that at? That's in Denver, Colorado,
That's right
here. September 26th. Go to ngconferences.com to sign up today.